Amanda's arms were still shaking. The cold floor of the Korean police station pressed against her knees as two officers stood guard near the door, whispering in Korean. Her wrists were red from the tight handcuffs. Her lips trembled, and tears burned in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Somewhere outside that metal room, the voice of a child pierced through the walls, high-pitched, desperate, heartbreaking. "Mommy! Mommy! My mommy!" Amanda winced. It felt like her heart had been yanked out of her chest and thrown on the floor. She recognized that voice. It belonged to the little girl who had run into her arms just an hour ago. The child was crying, screaming, refusing to eat or even look at anyone else, not even her biological father, who stood outside helplessly, watching his baby girl reject him for a stranger. Amanda, a 28-year-old African woman from Kenya, had only gone to work that day to mind her business like always. She lived a simple life in Seoul, quiet, unnoticed, barely getting by. She worked part-time cleaning at the Shinhan Mall and took private cleaning jobs in the evenings. Every day was a routine: wake up, pray, pack rice and beans in her lunchbox, work quietly, go home. She didn't make friends. She didn't talk too much. She didn't trust easily. Korea was beautiful, yes, but it was also lonely. Amanda had grown used to being invisible. Until today. It was exactly 12:15 p.m. when everything changed. Amanda had been mopping the hallway just outside a luxury boutique in the mall. The area was quiet, and she hummed a soft Kikuyu worship song under her breath as she worked. Then, out of nowhere, a pair of tiny feet ran toward her. Before she could turn, a little girl no older than 3 years old threw herself into Amanda's legs, wrapping her arms around them tightly. Amanda blinked, shocked. The girl looked up at her with big, tear-filled eyes, her voice soft but clear. "Iyama. Mommy." Amanda's heart skipped. "No, baby," she said gently, bending down to the child's level. "I'm not your mother." But the little girl didn't let go. Instead, she clung even tighter, sobbing now. "You're my mommy. Don't leave me again, please." Confused, Amanda tried to pry her arms off, but the girl only cried louder. People began to stop and stare. Some brought out their phones. Someone whispered, "Is she kidnapping her?" Amanda's panic rose. "I don't know this child," she cried. "Please, can someone help? I think she's lost." Within minutes, security guards arrived. One grabbed Amanda's arm roughly, pulling her away from the child. That's when the man appeared. Tall. Sharp suit. Designer watch. Anger burning in his eyes. The girl screamed louder when she saw him. "No. No, Appa. I want my mommy," she cried, pointing at Amanda. "What is happening here?" the man barked in Korean. Amanda didn't understand most of his words, but she could feel his fury. The guard spoke to him rapidly. Within 5 minutes, the mall was filled with flashing blue lights. Amanda tried to speak, but nobody wanted to listen. "I didn't take her. I swear," she sobbed as she was pushed into the police car. The little girl's cries followed her. Amanda looked back through the rear window and saw her tiny hands reaching out from her nanny's arms. Inside the police station, everything moved like a nightmare. They searched her. Took her phone. Locked her in a cold room. Officers came in and out, asking the same questions over and over. "Why did the child call you mommy? How do you know her? Are you part of a trafficking group?" Amanda had never felt so humiliated. So alone. "I don't know her," she repeated, voice hoarse. "I was just cleaning. She ran to me. I tried to help." No one believed her. Outside, the billionaire paced in frustration. His daughter was locked in a quiet room with a nanny and 2 child officers. But she refused to speak. Refused to eat. She only curled. In a corner, clutching the edge of her pink coat. "I want my mommy." Her real father knelt beside her. It's me, baby. It's Appa. You're safe now. She turned her face away. The billionaire's anger slowly turned into confusion, then worry. She's never done this before, he said softly. She's never acted like this with me. That's when a young female officer approached. She held a folder and spoke carefully. Sir, we found something in the woman's record. Her name is Amanda Wanjiru. She's from Kenya. No criminal history. But, she used to work at Bright Star Daycare in Gangnam. The billionaire blinked. That's the daycare my daughter went to 2 years ago. Yes. Before it closed down last year. Amanda was one of the caregivers there. She worked with toddlers. The pieces began to fall into place. The little girl hadn't seen a stranger at the mall. She had seen someone she remembered. Someone who had once held her when she cried, fed her during lunch, and sang her lullabies in a language she didn't even understand, but had felt warm and safe. The billionaire slowly turned to the glass where Amanda sat on the cold floor. And for the first time, he looked at her not as a suspect, but as someone who meant something to his daughter. Amanda stared at the silver handcuffs on the table in front of her. The cold steel still echoed on her skin even though they'd been removed. Her fingers shook as she reached for the paper cup of water the officer had placed before her. She didn't drink it. She didn't trust anything anymore. She wasn't just a cleaner anymore. She was a suspect. A child kidnapper. That was the label written on the file in front of the officer, attempted child abduction, foreign national. Amanda looked at her hands. They were dry from constant cleaning chemicals. She had spent years using those hands to scrub toilets, wipe mall windows, and iron rich people's clothes. Now, they were treated like the hands of a criminal. Miss Amanda, a male officer began in slow English. We already watched the footage from the mall. The child ran to you. You said nothing suspicious. But her father insists she's never met you before. Amanda nodded weakly. I understand, but she knows me. How? He pressed. Amanda's throat tightened. She drew in a shaky breath, then whispered, I used to work at a daycare, 2 years ago. Before it closed. The officer raised a brow. Which one? Bright Star Daycare, in Gangnam. I worked there full time. I cared for babies, sang to them, fed them, played with them. You were a teacher. No, Amanda said with a small, tired smile. Just a helper. But I loved them. And they loved me. The officer leaned back, clearly unsure of what to believe. He scribbled something in his notebook, then stood. I'll check that. Amanda sat alone for what felt like hours. The fluorescent lights above her buzzed softly, casting harsh shadows on the walls. She leaned her head on the table and let her tears fall quietly. 2 years earlier. Amanda had arrived in Korea with nothing but a suitcase, a teaching certificate, and hope. She had tried to find work in schools, but her accent and skin color made things harder. People smiled politely, promised to call back, and never did. Eventually, she found a job as a daycare helper. It didn't pay much, but the children, oh, the children. They didn't care about her accent or where she was from. They only cared that she made funny faces, sang lullabies, and remembered their favorite snacks. One little girl had followed her around like a shadow, always hugging her legs and calling her Yama Amanda. That child, could it be the same girl? The one crying for her now? Amanda wiped her tears. The thought both hurt and healed her. Back at the station, the billionaire, Mr. Kong, sat silently in the observation room, watching Amanda through the glass. His daughter, Jun, had fallen asleep in the arms of her nanny, still clutching the edge of her coat. She hadn't spoken a word since Amanda was taken away. He thought about the woman in that cold room. The pain in her eyes. The confusion. Why would a stranger's arrest make his daughter so broken? Then the female officer returned. Sir. I found pictures. She placed old daycare photographs on the table. In one, a younger Amanda was sitting on the floor, surrounded by tiny Korean toddlers. She was laughing, holding a child in each arm. In another, she was feeding a baby with one hand while holding a picture book in the other. Then came the last photo. A close-up. Amanda smiling gently, and little Jun, then barely a year and a half old, resting her head peacefully on Amanda's chest, fast asleep. Mr. Kong froze. His heart, which had been filled with fear and rage all day, began to twist with guilt. He had taken Jun out of daycare when the business closed down, replacing human warmth with private tutors, elite nannies, and expensive toys. He had assumed she'd forget everything from that time. But she hadn't. She had remembered the one person who made her feel safe. The one person she now believed was her real mother. The interrogation room door opened slowly. Amanda looked up. In walked Mr. Kong. Alone. Amanda stiffened, unsure whether to be afraid or relieved. He didn't speak right away. Instead, he placed the photo of her and Jun on the table. Amanda looked at it. Her eyes widened. She gasped softly. She was one of mine, she whispered. Mr. Kang's voice was quieter this time. You took care of her. Amanda nodded. She cried a lot when she first came to daycare. The others were scared of her because she wouldn't talk. But she paused, a smile tugging at her lips. I used to hold her every afternoon after lunch. I'd sing to her until she slept. She remembers you, Mr. Kong said, voice barely above a whisper. She's not eating. Not talking. She's heartbroken. Amanda swallowed hard. I never meant to confuse her. I would never hurt her. I know that now, he said. And I'm sorry. For everything today. They sat in silence for a long while, staring at the picture. Then Amanda spoke again. You know, when the daycare closed, I cried more than the children. I loved those babies like my own. I never thought I'd see any of them again. And yet, one found you, he said. Amanda looked down, tears in her eyes. Yes. She did. That evening, Amanda was released. No charges. No record. As she stepped outside, she found Jun standing there in her tiny coat, holding a toy bunny. Her eyes lit up the moment she saw Amanda. Iyama, she cried. Amanda knelt down, arms wide. Jun ran into her embrace like nothing had ever changed. Behind them, Mr. Kong watched with a mixture of awe and quiet realization. Amanda hadn't stolen his daughter. She had once given her something he, with all his billions, could not. Unconditional love. That night, Amanda couldn't sleep. Even though she had been cleared, even though the handcuffs were off and her name was no longer in the system as a suspect, something inside her still felt heavy. The image of flashing lights, cold rooms, harsh stares, it lingered like a shadow. She sat in her tiny apartment in the quiet outskirts of Seoul, wrapped in a faded blanket. The kettle on her stove bubbled softly as she made ginger tea. Outside, the night was still, but inside her chest, her heart wouldn't settle. Her phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. Amanda hesitated, then answered. Hello. The voice on the other end was low, firm, but polite. Miss Amanda, this is Mr. Kong. She sat upright. Yes, sir. I hope I'm not disturbing you. I just wanted to thank you. Again. Amanda closed her eyes. You don't need to. I'm just glad she's okay. There was a pause, then he asked gently, would you be willing to come see her tomorrow? Amanda blinked. You mean? Jun. Yes. She hasn't stopped asking for you. She didn't even let the new nanny touch her. Amanda's heart swelled. Of course. I'll come. Good, he said softly. Thank you, Amanda. The next day, Amanda arrived at a tall glass building in the heart of Gangnam. The guards at the entrance bowed respectfully this time. They even called her Miss Amanda as they escorted her up to the 30th floor. When the elevator doors opened, Amanda stepped into a world she'd never imagined for herself. The penthouse was breathtaking, marble floors, gold light fixtures, walls lined with books, art, and polished glass. But none of that mattered to her. Not when she saw Jun, barefoot in pajamas, sitting on a plush rug, hugging her stuffed bunny. The little girl's eyes widened with joy. She cried, running into Amanda's arms once more. Amanda scooped her up, tears welling in her eyes. She held the girl tightly, rocking her gently. "Oh baby," she whispered, "I missed you too." Mr. Kong stood nearby, watching the scene silently. Something in his chest shifted as he looked at them. Amanda, with her worn-out sweater and glowing smile, looked like she belonged there more than anyone else ever had. After a few minutes, he cleared his throat. "She hasn't smiled like that in weeks," he said quietly. "Not even with me." Amanda smiled shyly. "She's special. Sensitive. She remembers emotions. And I guess, she remembered me." Mr. Kong looked down at his daughter, who was now curled up peacefully in Amanda's lap. "I made a mistake," he confessed. "When the daycare closed, I just filled her life with structure. Schedules. Tutors. I thought money could replace love." Amanda didn't respond. What could she say? He stepped forward. "Miss Amanda, I'd like to offer you a position." Amanda looked up slowly. "Position?" "Yes. A permanent one. As Jun's caregiver, here. In this home." Amanda's eyes widened. "You mean, live here?" "Yes," he said firmly. "You'd have a private room. A salary. Days off. Everything. But more importantly, you'd be someone she needs." Amanda's heart raced. She looked down at Jun, who now played with her braids and smiled softly. She hesitated. "I don't know if I fit in a world like this." "You already do," he said simply. She looked at him, really looked, for the first time. He wasn't as scary as before. Not just a billionaire with suits and power. There was something else now. A softness behind his eyes. Regret. Respect. Even, admiration. She nodded slowly. "I'll do it. For her." Days turned into weeks. Amanda settled into the Kong household gently, like a warm breeze finding its place in a cold room. Jun followed her everywhere. They read storybooks together, baked cookies in the huge marble kitchen, and even planted flowers on the rooftop balcony. She brought life into the home. Laughter. Warmth. Love. Mr. Kong watched this transformation silently. Sometimes from a distance. Sometimes while pretending to read a newspaper he wasn't really focused on. One evening, as Amanda helped Jun into her pajamas, the little girl asked sleepily. "Mommy, why did you leave me?" Amanda froze. She took the child's small hand and kissed it. "I didn't leave you, baby. The world just pulled us apart. But I came back, didn't I?" Jun nodded, snuggling into her lap. "Don't go again." "I won't," Amanda whispered, holding her close. Mr. Kong stood just outside the doorway, listening. And for the first time in a long time, he felt peace. Amanda stood on the rooftop garden of the Kong penthouse, the morning sun spilling across the horizon like melted gold. She was watering the flowers she and Jun had planted weeks earlier, pink tulips, white roses, and small sunflower buds that stubbornly reached for the sky. Just like her. Behind her, the city buzzed with its usual rhythm, cars honking below, cranes stretching into the clouds, people chasing time. But up here, Amanda had found peace. A month had passed since that terrifying day she was arrested in the mall. A month since Jun ran into her arms and changed the course of both their lives. Amanda never thought her darkest moment would open a door to her happiest one. Inside the penthouse, Jun was coloring at the dining table, her favorite bunny beside her. She was humming the African lullaby Amanda had taught her, soft and off-key, but beautiful in its own way. Mr. Kong stood near the window, watching them with quiet admiration. He had changed too, not just in how he dressed, or how often he was home, but in how he carried himself. He no longer rushed to meetings every day. He now had breakfast at home. He joined them for tea in the evenings. He had even laughed, a real laugh, when Jun once tried to put makeup on Amanda's face and left lipstick all over her cheeks. He had become present. Amanda noticed. She didn't say it out loud, but she noticed everything. The way he softened when Jun hugged him. The way he lingered in the room when Amanda spoke. The way his eyes lingered just a little longer than before. She would catch him watching her sometimes, not with desire, but with something gentler. Gratitude. Wonder. Respect. And something unspoken. One Sunday evening, after dinner, Mr. Kong invited Amanda to the balcony. The city lights shimmered below them, and a soft breeze blew through her braids. "Thank you," he said, his voice low. Amanda blinked. "For what?" "For fixing this home. For bringing joy back to my daughter. And for forgiving me." Amanda looked at him quietly. "You were scared. You were protecting your child. I don't blame you." He smiled, a rare, soft smile. "Still. I misjudged you." And that nearly broke her. Amanda's eyes glistened. "She's stronger than you think," she said. "She just needed to feel safe." He looked at her. "And so did I." There was a long silence between them, filled only by the wind and the quiet hum of traffic far below. Then he stepped closer. "I know this may be strange," he said carefully, "but would you consider staying? Not just as Jun's caregiver, but as part of this family?" Amanda's breath caught. "Are you asking me to?" He interrupted gently, "To stay. To be by our side. Whatever you want to call it." Her eyes welled with tears. "Mr. Khan." "Dong Hyun," he corrected softly. She smiled, voice trembling. "Dong Hyun." He took her hand. "You saved my daughter. You saved me, too. I was alive, but not living. You brought something into this house I can't explain." Amanda looked down, heart pounding. "I don't know if I'm ready. I've spent my whole life being invisible." "You're not invisible here," he said. "Not anymore." Months later. The headlines spread like wildfire across Korean blogs and social media. Korean billionaire falls in love with African nanny who helped raise his daughter. From cleaner to queen of the penthouse, Amanda Wanjiru's unbelievable story. People were curious. Some were supportive. Others were bitter. But Amanda didn't care. She walked beside Donghyun and Jun, holding both their hands as cameras flashed. Her skin glowed. Her smile was unshakable. She had survived loneliness, judgment, and injustice, and come out loved. She now co-managed a non-profit daycare with Donghyun, giving jobs to immigrant women and supporting single mothers. She gave speeches, told her story, and helped other foreign workers believe they were worth more than cleaning toilets and being ignored. She still wore her simple headscarves. Still made chapati and sukuma in her own little kitchen inside the mansion. Still sang lullabies to Jun every night. She hadn't changed who she was. She had simply been seen, finally, truly, and chosen. One night, as Amanda tucked Jun into bed, the little girl yawned and whispered sleepily. "Mommy, I'm so happy." Amanda smiled, stroking her hair. "Me too, baby. Me too." Down the hallway, Donghyun waited, watching her with the same gentle look he had worn the day he apologized in that cold police station. Amanda walked toward him slowly, barefoot, glowing under the soft hallway lights. And as she reached him, he whispered, "Thank you for coming back to us." Amanda leaned into his chest, tears sliding silently down her cheek. "I never left. I was just waiting to be found."
Hello besties, in this story we learned that never judge a heart by its skin or a past by its silence. Sometimes the love we are searching for is hidden in the arms of the one the world overlooks. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.